right, here is one of the questions, or two of the questions that I saw that you got wrong on the last practice for Khan Academy. Most of this is just factoring, so just understanding the factors here. So what factors of 64 add up to negative 16? Well, that would be negative 8 and negative 8. So x minus 8 times x minus 8. Negative times negative is positive. Those add to be negative 16. On the bottom, there's a GCF. So remember, you have to factor out the GCF before you factor. So all of these terms divide by 4. So if you go through and divide those by 4, I'd get x squared minus 9x plus 8. And so now you're just factoring this quadratic that's a lot easier now with the 4 divided out. So what factors of 8 add up to negative 9 would be negative 8 and negative 1. So that would just be negative 8 and negative 1. Negative 8 times negative 1 is positive 8, but those add up to be negative 9. We had our x minus 8 and x minus 8 on top. And then the whole point of this is we're just canceling common factors. So one of each is on the top and the bottom. So one of those x minus 8s cancel out. And your answer is just what's left over. So we had an x minus 8 on top over the 4 on the bottom. So the 4 and the x minus 1. So that would be your answer for the question 1 there. Okay. And then question 2 is a little bit weird. The top is easy because you just have to factor that. So what factors of negative 57 add up to 16? You might have to check and guess a little bit, but that comes out to be negative 3 and positive 19. Okay. Now the bottom's a little weird. Now I suggest writing it in standard form. So what I mean by that is the largest exponent first. So I would write this as negative 4x squared plus 36. Just write it in the right order, negative 4x squared plus 36. And that does have a GCF because both of those divide by 4. And even more so, I would factor out a negative 4 because it's usually easier to factor if our x squared term is positive. So if you take away the negative with it, that just becomes an x squared. And then 36 divided by negative 4 would be negative 9. So that flips the sign on the inside of the factor there. So that is what's on the bottom now, which you can see x squared minus 9 is a difference of perfect squares. So x plus 3, x minus 3. So let me scroll down here. This becomes that on the top we had the x minus 3 times x plus 19. On the bottom, we have a GCF of negative 4. And then, like I said, x squared minus 9 would be x plus 3x minus 3. So you can see we have an x minus 3 on top. We have an x minus 3 on bottom. Those cancel. So your final answer is that x plus 19 that didn't cancel over the negative 4 and the x plus 3 on the bottom. Hopefully that helps out a little bit.